Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming to the podcast LinkedIn Live on DX Bridging the Divide. This is the 7th in our series on how we collaborate between business and technology to make digital transformation, culture of transformation real in our businesses. Today, I'm really excited because people are always asking me, well, what does good look like? I want some success stories. Does this really happen? What actually works? And how do I do it? And so I'm thrilled today to have Talila Millman, who, in addition to all of her other transformation experiences, has recently written the book, Triumph: Leadership in a Time of Volatility, Uncertainty, Complexity, and Ambiguity. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel like that's exactly the time that we're in right now. So before we dive in, Talila, can you share a little bit about your background with our audience?
Yes, thank you, Brigid. I'm so excited to be here. I'm the managing director and CTO of Millman Tech. We help CEOs increase profit and scale by optimizing the product portfolio and by creating an operating system for product engineering and operations excellence. We also provide fractional executives, like I'm a fractional CTOs, and we have other fractional executives in our, in the company. I'm also, before that, for more than 25 years, I led product and engineering teams. In the last 15 years, I've been doing fractional, not fractional, but full-time CTO and divisional CTO in both private companies, but also Fortune 500 companies like Stanley Black & Decker, Harris, and Motorola. And now I'm an author and speaker.
Fantastic. I mean, I think obviously you've had plenty of chances to be successful in transformation, and I'm excited that today you're going to share one of your stories. Because I've been talking about, in the series that I have, we've been talking a lot about what are all of the things that you need to do to successfully transform. Things about like minimum viable strategy and MVS, or psychological safety, or collaboration between business and technology, right? There's a really long list of things that you need to do. And the question is, how does it all work when it comes together? And when it comes together, is it all about, what's happening in the business, in the operations? And what I like about what we're going to talk about today is it really demonstrates that digital transformation happens anywhere in the business. It doesn't just happen in the back office. It doesn't just happen in go-to-market. It can happen in the product side, right? As you're thinking about what it is you're delivering to your customer, it's not just how you deliver it to your customer, it is what you're delivering to the customer as well. So as you share your example today, how you take something successful and change it, I think what people need to be listening for is, when are the times that you know that change needs to happen? And what does that sort of awareness of this sort of transformational culture start feeling like? Because sometimes with transformation, it doesn't look like what we think it's going to look like. Sometimes it doesn't look good the whole time. I mean, sometimes it hurts, right? But at the end of the day, what we're all going for is that profitable growth, is that, satisfied customer list, is that, award-winning delivery, whatever it is. We know what good looks like. We just don't necessarily know what the path to good looks like. So let's just dive in. I mean, because I think there's nothing better than a real story to get us all grounded on what good looks like. So tell us about the story. Why did you even start thinking about change? And I mean, you've told me that the software that you guys were building was loved by customers, that you were hugely profitable. What about, if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
This is an excellent question, Brigid. And the truth is that we were very successful. This was a mid-market provider of software for telecom infrastructure. And the company was doing very well financially. We had a very strong client base. We had recurring revenue. Our customers were some of the biggest and most known telecom companies in the world, and they loved us. We had orders, we had profit margins, on paper, we were doing great. But this is the thing, numbers don't always tell the full story. I was the CTO and general manager of this company, and I was concerned about disruptive market forces. We were developing software for legacy communication products, but people were starting to bypass telecom for communication and use product like Skype, Apple's iMessage, and Facebook Messenger instead of going through Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, or any other telecoms. So these next generation products were starting to nip at our heels. And I didn't think we will be there for the long time unless we would do something different. And my goal was to build a revenue stream based on new products and new markets. So the first opportunity to do something different came in the form of a formal request from a customer for a proposal to provide them with a new system. This request for proposal, RFP, didn't go only to us, but to many of our competitors. But see, that's what we thought. We thought we had the best product in the market. We had some of the biggest telecom companies were using our product. And so we would serve, and they would serve as a reference. So we were sure we would win this RFP. We had it in our, in our back pocket.
Okay, so I'm guessing you didn't, just because the story is a lot less interesting if there isn't a little bit of a bump in the road.
Exactly. We didn't win the RFP. And there was a good reason. We were too expensive. We were trying to sell a luxury bus to somebody that only needed a two-seat beat-up car. We used this special customized hardware that could not scale down. And we didn't make a cent of the hardware. We only profited from the software. So we took it as a challenge, and we decided on developing a hardware platform made of off-the-shelf components that would scale up and down and would be cost-effective for our existing big telecom customers, but also for new customers, including smaller and most cost-conscious telecoms. And we did. Technologically, our new offering was just brilliant. I want to say I had an amazing engineering team. And like one of the best teams that I ever worked with. And we designed something really amazing. But just being technologically amazing is not enough. From a company perspective, there were very few telecoms that didn't already own systems such as ours. And companies that already had systems were not in any rush to replace them.
So well, I just want to say that I love that you're talking about something that didn't work, because transformation is hard. It doesn't always work. And we all of us need to get more comfortable thinking about transformation, as something like playing solitaire, right? Like sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And sometimes the deck was stacked and you couldn't have won, but you keep going. Or maybe it's more like Vegas. I don't know. But it is important to understand that we can't just try once, and if it doesn't work, we're done.
Yes, we didn't have a choice. Kind of, we had to carry on, and but at the time, it really looks like we were failing. And after this failure, I was even more concerned. Brigid, I had nightmares where I was slowly having to shrink the team to match the dwindling demand until eventually I would be standing at the door, slowly turning off the lights, gazing backwards in a lone tear rolling down my cheek. I know now it seems funny, but at the time I was really really concerned because it was not just my job that was on the line. I had in mind 150 employees of the company. I worked with them for years, and the thought of having to lay them off and close the business was just terrifying to me. So I decided to involve the entire company in an innovation drive. I declared an innovation week and asked everyone for their contribution. But the thing is, employees are not always that eager to engage in innovation because of time crunch, too busy with current priorities, and also resistance to adopt a new way of thinking. And this was a new way of thinking because we were used to developing either based on standard changes or requests coming from existing customers. So, in other words, we were order takers versus innovators. Any innovation that we had was in the product, but not any innovation went into making the product, the existing product, better, but it was not about coming with brilliant new ideas. So, trying to get ahead was just not in our collective DNA. So, as a result, some of my brightest employees didn't actively engage, but still, I did get some good ideas, and we created a roadmap to the future.
Well, I mean, culture change is hard, right? Getting people to understand, people who've always sort of done this is the next step, this is the next step, and getting them engaged in how to think innovatively, that takes time. And getting the idea that you sit down for a brainstorming session and you get this great innovative idea that's totally workable and it's the perfect one. I mean, yeah, that happens all the time in Hollywood on the screen. I don't even think it happens like behind the screens in Hollywood. I've seen some of the crap that they put out, right? Like innovative, great ideas, they're hard and it takes practice to figure out how to generate them. So, yeah, it makes total sense that your team would have struggled a little bit with just how to be innovative.
Yes,
But you
exactly.
kept going.
Yeah, exactly. So, we as I said, I did get some ideas, and once we had enough confidence in our ideas and a high level implementation plan, we took them for a roadshow with our customers. Now, this is where we really got lucky because unbeknown to us, our biggest customer was working on their own future vision. And we're about to come up with an RFP. And when we presented them, they were thrilled. They were not allowed to talk about the contents of their RFP, but they listened to us. And I can't tell if we happen to think the same or if they adopted our ideas, but when the RFP came out 2 months later, it really aligned with our future vision. So in these 2 months, we didn't just sit on our laurels. We knew this RFP was critical for our future, and not winning would result in loss of revenue. Winning would be a big boon. So I assigned some of our best people to work full time on the design. This is where and this is where all the work that we did on the low cost platform really paid off and with dividends because we could have never implemented our vision with the old architecture.
See, that's now like a perfect case study because it really demonstrates that there's value in every failure. And people always say that, oh, failure makes you stronger, failure's better for you, builds character. Well, heck with building character. Like I wanted to build my next generation product, right? Like that's what the kind of failure that I like. And that's exactly what you're talking about. So I love that you say, hey, we got lucky. But it is about that kind of luck where you've created the situation where when the luck happens, you can take advantage of it. And I love that there's value in failure.
Yes, yes, it was amazing. It kind of made it all worthwhile. Um, we competed on this RFP with three more companies that made it to the last round. They were the titans of our industry, and we won.
Yay!
Yeah. So the revenue that resulted from this win was about the same, just so you get the magnitude, it was the same as our previous annual revenue. It was spread over 3 years, so that meant over 25% revenue increase just in the first year. So that was a true innovation success. But we were not done, far from it. We could not declare success because this new product was also focused on the same market that we were in before. And in a segment of this market that was threatened by the companies like Microsoft, Apple, and Facebook. So we were still on the journey to transform the organization to compete in new markets. This success really just bought us time to continue the journey. And it also got us another thing. It got us a change in the employee's mindset.
Uh, I mean, you're making my heart sing. The idea of a culture of continuous transformation, to me, is the holy grail. And that's what you're saying is, hey, we didn't get to the end of the race, right? Like, too many folks get to that first success and they're like, oh, we made the transformation happen. We're done. Now we're correct. But that's like getting to the end of the swim and being like, I won, and not thinking about the fact that there's still the bike and the run to happen, and you're doing a triathlon. We aren't even doing triathlons in business. We're doing like umpteen athlons, right? Like, this is a never ending race. And yes, there are times where we're like, hey, I won that phase of that stage of the race. But the race isn't over and you have to keep changing. So I love that you've used this as a way to sort of introduce to the team the continuous cultural transformation.
I really like what you said, Brigid, about the race is never over, because I feel like in business, you can never rest on your laurels. It's a constant race, and you can never, I mean, you can take a little rest, but really not a lot. And in our case, this big win, as I said, it bought us time, and it also helped us with the cultural transformation, because when you are successful, more people want to take part in this success. And this was no different. Initially, very few people were interested in innovation, and now it was different. I created an innovation council, and I invited people to join, but also people wanted to join, and we also created an innovation process and invited people to submit proposals that would be assessed by the council, and if accepted, would result in a modest prize, really modest. It wasn't about the prize; it was about the joy of innovation, honestly. So the big breakthrough came when one of our customers told us they were working with a third party on developing an application. And I was thinking, why a third party, not us? We can do it for them. So I took it to the Innovation Council, and one of the developers in the council volunteered to work on a demo after hours. And after a while, a second engineer from the council joined. And so we had two people working this very part-time outside the normal working hours. And when we felt that the demo was good enough, we proudly presented it to the customer, expecting really big applause. And they told us it was not what they were looking for. Now, before giving up this idea, we analyzed why the customer rejected the demo. And we realized that our new creation was better suited for a different market segment, enterprise customer.
Well, that's so interesting, because when you're focused on, the finish line, you think you know what it looks like, right? Like, you know exactly where you're going. And you're going to be a lot more successful if, when you get to the end, you're like, okay, we won. Why? Instead of, ooh, I think we lost, right? It's how do we shift from, if it doesn't look like what I thought it was supposed to look like, that it must be bad.
Exactly. You have to look at things with, you have to analyze where you are and why you got this response. And in truth, we aimed at one direction, but we really got somewhere else, and it was exactly what we were after. We got to new markets. Our sales rep did their market survey and came back saying that they could sell the product. They even had a specific customer in mind that would serve as our first customer. And it's not that there were not other competing products in the market. Sure, there were, but we differentiated ourselves by having much tighter security, something that at the time, I know now everybody talks about security, but at the time that was unique and appealed to a certain segment of the market. So our sales team identified a potential customer that was keen on getting our product. And at this point, we decided to put some process around this new endeavor. We did market research, we did competitive analysis, market differentiation, business case, the whole package. And the two developers now converted to full-time, and we kept growing the team. So to make a long, long story short, today, while the company still works on telecom customers, this line of products constitute a big portion of its sales. It was a huge success.
That is so awesome. I mean, this so clearly demonstrates that building that culture of continuous transformation and being open to redefining what success looks like is key to being successful, right? That your digital transformation has to be part of teaching everybody in the company new ways to think, new ways to look at problems, and new ways to just succeed. So what do you think were the biggest contributions to your success? And what are the things that you think our audience can actually emulate in their companies?
So I would say the first thing is that innovation was never the goal, or transformation. It was never the goal. It was a tool in our strategic business transformation to grow revenue and to expand to new markets. And all this time, we always kept our eyes on the prize, which was revenue and market growth. Secondly, we never sacrificed our main source of revenue for the sake of new stuff. So, because cash in hand is always better than the promise of future cash. And thirdly, other than the low cost platform, all the development of the new products was done in the margins until we found paying customers. And I think this is key. We sold the idea and then developed the product, knowing we had a market and we had a customer to sponsor the bulk of the development. Um, you know, and this is true for both internal and external transformations, or internal and external effort. The customer can be an external customer, or it can be an internal customer. Maybe we deliver a huge saving, an increase in margin. We still have to sell it and get somebody to fund it before we have to show some success, and then get somebody to buy into our idea and fund it before we can go on.
So, Talila, I think this point is so important when we think about sort of product innovation and product transformation. And we see it every time there's a new technology. There's cloud, there's blockchain. Today there's AI. And when you're thinking about it from a technology perspective, it's the old analogy. You're a hammer and everything looks like a nail, right? It's like, oh, I can solve that with AI. I can solve that with blockchain. I can solve that with cloud, right? Like you want the answer to be the technology that you're thinking about right now. And instead, as you're saying, what were the customers asking for? What was the pain point that they were bringing? And it doesn't mean you can't be thinking about, oh, could I use AI to do this? But front and center is not, hey, it's AI. Front and center is, oh my gosh, the customers need this problem solved.
Absolutely, Brigid. It's always about the problem. What problem are you trying to solve? Everything has to focus on the problem, and you come up with the solution. And technologies are tools, just like you say, like AI, especially. There is a frenzy about AI now, and I wholeheartedly support it. I think it's exciting. I think it's great, but you don't. I was in a discussion with in a board discussion with board members, and one of the people was like, what if in the executive won't ask me to invest, I think he said 7 million in AI. And I was like, why would they invest in AI? What problem are they trying to solve? You don't invest in technology unless it solves problem. In our case, we were trying to get to new market, and the fact that we had new technologies helped us to get there. And I want to say, new technologies always help you to get there. So this is not a contradiction, but you need to focus on the problem, just like you said, not anything else.
Fantastic.
So one more thing that was really important was the engagement in the culture, because there was a huge cultural transformation journey that we went through, from order takers to proactively coming up with market leading products. And this is where, you mentioned my book Triumph. This is really where Triumph is really about a framework on how to lead organizations. And the Triumph framework really helps leaders transform organizations, or take a change, or have an organization adapt a change. And so Triumph is really, it's really about, it's really an abbreviation. So T is about thinking and get to the root cause of the challenge. In this case, we needed to expand our product portfolio and come up with new sources of revenue. R is recognize the stakeholders. That included customers, partners, and employees. I is ideate a plan. And my plan was to get new customers through innovation. U was unwavering communication. That was very, very important throughout the entire process. M is mobilize grassroots support. And that included the Innovation Council that worked to create enthusiasm for innovation and took an extra work to implement the ideas. P is put the plan to action, and H is hone the plan. So if you remember, my plan started with a new platform. Then it went to this first product that we did for existing customers, and then there was an application. So the plan kept changing. The goal, though, stayed the same. You hone the plan, but you keep your mind on the goal. And through this process, we changed the mindset of the entire organization to be forward-looking and innovative, and we grew revenue and profitability.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think this is such a great example of what every company out there really needs to do, which is to invest in building a culture of transformation without a focus on improving the existing product or thinking about a particular technology. This last week's article in my newsletter was on innovation versus transformation. And a lot of times people get confused on, hey, innovation is about finding a new idea. Transformation is about actually applying it, making it work, making it real for your customers. And you need them both, but you can't just innovate all the time. You have to have that culture that's going to take the innovation and put it into practice in terms of what your people are doing, what your product is you're building, how you're talking to your customers. Wherever the innovation fits, you need to figure that out and you need to make it work. Otherwise, it's just a bright, shiny object that looks cool.
Right. Innovation, not for innovation's sake, but for your end goal, right? Whatever it is, whether it's internal or external.
Fantastic. Well, Talila, I mean, this has been amazing. And I mean, I think, everybody would do well to take a look at your book. I know it's on pre-order now. I guess we can put into the chat afterwards some information on how people can find it and get it. But I think if they search on you, they'll find the information anyway.
Okay.
And then I would also say for folks who found it helpful to hear a success story, you can tune in next week as well. I'm going to have Elisa Sue Lynch with me to talk about more success stories, because in theory is great. In practice, it's really hard. So that's when frameworks like Triumph and success stories like we're hearing today and next week are really helpful, because it helps us understand that it really is possible, and that sometimes failure isn't the end, though sometimes it is. And, you know, we all can really do a better job of being transformative in a positive way. Talila, any last thought before we jump off?
Thank you. This has been fantastic. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I hope that everybody else enjoyed it too. And I'm available for questions later on if people are interested.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone, and see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.